Good morning, everyone. It is 10 after 2 this Thursday morning, and I am watching this major system come through the southeast. It started out in areas of Texas, which is still seeing a little bit of ice and snow near Houston and into central areas of the state. But now we're watching, of course, our area as ice and even some high elevation mountain snow continue to pop up. So I want to zoom in for you to our local area. Obviously, the upstate is seeing a little bit of rainfall. We've seen some downpours down near Lawrence, Abbeville, Greenwood, and Union. Mostly light showers now, but obviously the eyes go straight to that pink that is covering western North Carolina. I'll zoom in a little closer on just the mountains because this is where we're seeing ice that is going to accumulate. This accumulating ice will likely restrict access to roadways, maybe potentially make it difficult to open your car door as it covers your car and kind of coats it in that glaze of ice. Most of the area here in the mountains is at the freezing mark at the surface. So that means it's going to look like rain coming down, but we're going to see that glaze of ice come through. And while it is, again, mainly in the mountains right now, I do want to show you little spots of pink that are popping up near the Highlands area of Greenville County. The northern upstate is under a winter weather advisory, as we could see a little bit more of these higher spots get down to that freezing mark. And it's going to be something that creates that glaze of ice. Temperatures right now across the upstate are far enough above freezing that we're not at a threat for ice over the next, I'd say, 2 to maybe 3 hours. The mountains, though, look at this. Asheville, 32. Hendersonville, 32. Brevard, 32. It's 31 in Waynesville. These are spots that if you see rain coming down, it will create that glaze of ice. It is going to be hours long across these mountain areas in the central mountains and then up toward the eastern mountains as well. The upstate, again, not quite to freezing. It's 39 in Greenwood, Abbeville. Look at this. Anderson, Hartwell, way into the upper 30s and low 40s. No threat at all over the next several hours and really through the whole system for the southern upstate. These spots that like Spartanburg and Gaffney are at 36 degrees right now. Downtown Greenville, I haven't checked specifically. We're not getting a reading there at the moment. There's a glitch in the system, but from the reading happening over at the airport is what I mean. We'll have to check into that and see if we can get the data from there. But we are watching temperatures climb just into the middle 30s in some of these spots. And while that's not a threat right now, those are areas that could become an issue over the next few hours. What tends to happen is as this rain comes down, and we'll show you again, as rain comes down, rain is actually a process that causes evaporation. So when the air starts dry and then the rain begins to come down, some of that rain evaporates. And just like when we sweat and then the sweat evaporates off of our body, it helps to cool us down a little bit. The rain evaporating into the air actually cools the air a little bit. And so that's where we start to get concerned with temperatures that are in the middle and moderately close to that freezing mark. The cooling that can happen can get those temperatures down to freezing, and that's where we would then start to see the ice form. So places like Toccoa, Hartwell, Anderson, Abbeville, Lawrence, Union, you're far enough above freezing. Even Clemson looks mainly okay at 37 degrees there. We'll watch it, but you know, when you're in the far upper 30s and low 40s, there's almost no way in most cases to get that down to freezing just from evaporative cooling. So we're going to watch the areas that are a little bit closer to that, which is, again, from the 85 line northward. That's where we mainly have this winter weather advisory from now, really from last night through most of the day today. We could see spotty freezing rain in these areas of purple along the northern upstate. Basically, all the counties that touch the North Carolina line, including Rabun County, Georgia, in on this winter weather advisory for spotty freezing rain. I think it's going to be really difficult to get the freezing rain down into places like Simpsonville or Fountain Inn or even southern Spartanburg County. But those along the 85 line and northward will watch closely. It's really the mountains under this winter storm warning that have significant ice possible. When we talk significant ice, We talk ice that coats the trees and the power lines and the cars enough that it could create power outages. It could make some roads impassable, especially over bridges and overpasses, which tend to freeze first. So for all those mountains that are under this winter storm warning through the morning and really through a chunk of today, just be cautious. I'll take you through Futurecast. It's 2:15, 2:16 right now. We're looking at 4 a.m. on Futurecast. Really picking up on mostly just rain for the upstate. This is good news. This is what the models were showing yesterday. I will still stay on alert on these borderline counties because, again, if it got down to freezing, we would watch for iciness here. But it does look like 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It stays mainly rain for the northern upstate and really all of the upstate northeast Georgia. But look at that. The mountains from 4 to 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. still holds on to pockets of freezing rain. And these are spots in Waynesville, up surrounding Mount Mitchell, into Saluda, into Marion, that you're going to see hours worth of this freezing rain come down, creating the concern for iciness, for power outages. Even through 7 a.m., we still see these patches of pink, again, mainly in the highest peaks, but still a concern there. And some of that crosses some of the roadways that are well-traveled. You know, I-26 goes up through that way, up through Waynesville. You might find more of the concern. Waynesville area, let's see. I can't remember exactly what that road is. I can check for you. I haven't traveled up that way in quite a while. Let's see, just so that we can get it here. Let's see, let's label the highways. I-40, there it is. I knew that one. I-40, I-26, these are spots that could see some concern. And I'm talking I-40 even out through the Marion area, stretching into northern North Carolina. So north of Charlotte. Look, you can see it really goes all that way. Charlotte City looks like it's going to be like Greenville, where it stays above that freezing mark, just with some rain. And look at how heavy the rain gets through 7 a.m. We're dealing with mainly light showers right now, some drizzle and mistiness. This rain's going to dump on us. So even if we're not seeing ice, the upstate's going to see very sloppy roads, only because of that heavy rain that's going to come through. We're going to start to see it taper off later in the day today. You'll notice that by about noon, a few pockets of downpours are left, but we begin to see it kind of wrap up, at least for most of our area. It'll start to taper off really by the end of the day. This is 4 p.m. We kind of get back to more of a sprinkle, a drizzle, a mistiness. Far to the south, I'll kind of take you down toward areas of the Midlands and toward the coast. This is where a severe weather threat could be possible today. So we're not looking at that locally, but if you do have any interests in the Midlands or the PD region or down toward the low country, they might get really slammed with some downpours and some of these stronger storms from the late afternoon into the evening. And you'll notice, let's see if I can bring you back up to our area. Closer to about 5, 6, even 7 p.m., a few isolated storms could just be borderline into the southern upstate. This is very similar to what we saw earlier in the week, where we didn't end up seeing any severe weather, but there were tornadoes that happened earlier in the week down toward the coast. North Carolina had seen a deadly tornado, unfortunately, an EF3 touchdown earlier in the week. And while we're kind of on the borderline of seeing a couple of storms, I don't anticipate these being strong to that point, but they could be down toward the Midlands and the coast. So we're going to watch all of this really closely. Again, taking you through our current conditions outside. Whoops, let's go through that right now. Here's our radar 3D. It's showing significant ice coming through the mountains. And again, as we continue to watch those mountainous areas, we're beginning to see little pops of pink come up in Greenville County, northern Spartanburg County, Highlands to the Fingerville area. On alert. Make sure you're watching. We're also starting to see some pink get slowly down into the Caesars Head area. So these edges of the northern upstate will be at risk for some ice potential. As far as our map goes for where ice is most likely, there it is, that dark pink area this morning, really significant through the mountains and the edges of the northern upstate. These lighter pink shaded regions, these are where temperatures are still kind of in the middle 30s, and it's going to take a lot to get them down to freezing, but brief freezing rain and rain kind of mixed together is possible. So while it doesn't really include the city center of Greenville or the city center of Spartanburg, we're kind of on the line there. We'll watch those just to the north for the ice potential through the morning commute today. possibly for the mountains through about noon. So there's definitely some potential there for the high peaks to see it a little bit longer. Thanks for joining in on my Facebook Live. I'm going to be here all throughout the morning. The morning news begins at 4:30 and we're on until 9. We'll be on again at 10. And of course, we'll always break in if really conditions deteriorate quickly to the point where you need extra alerts. So stay with us on Facebook Live and on the air, as well as on our Fox Carolina News app and our Facebook page, our website, everything. You have plenty of places to go to get all these alerts and this information. So we are going to make sure that we stay on top of it for you, and stay safe out there, everyone. Have a great morning. We'll see you guys back here on Facebook Live in a little while. I see that some of you are asking some questions. I'm going to jump on the actual computer to answer some of those. It'll be a little bit easier for me to kind of write you some responses. So send in your questions. I'm here, and I'm here to answer your information for you. So have a great morning and stay safe, everyone. We'll talk to you soon.